No matter where you're tuning in from, maybe it's the hustle and bustle of a sprawling city or the quiet tranquility of a rural countryside or anywhere in between. Welcome to the Peapod, a podcast about peace. I'm Teri Angel, and I am delighted that you have chosen to spend some time with us today. The Peapod is the brainchild of the angels who spoke to me through a channeled message and said we are all like peas in a pea pod. We're like-minded and we're fed by the same source. Imagine for a moment a world without constant conflict, a world where respect for diversity is the norm, a world where understanding replaces fear. I know it sounds like a dream, but that's the world that we dare to dream of. And that's the world that we strive to build here, one conversation at a time, inside the Peapod. Each week we explore the theme of peace from various angles, from the philosophical to the practical, from the personal to the political. We engage with thought leaders, peace activists, scholars, artists, and everyday heroes, all of whom are united by a common purpose, the pursuit of peace. This is a space for stories that heal, stories that bring us together, stories that remind us of our shared humanity. Here at the Peapod, we believe peace isn't just the absence of conflict, it's the presence of justice. It's the celebration of diversity. And most importantly, it's something that begins within each one of us. So let's begin this journey together, shall we? Whether you're seeking solutions or solace, inspiration or insight, you're in the right place. Here, we don't have all the answers, but we promise to ask the right questions. So welcome once again to the Peapod, your podcast on peace. Let's dive right in to today's episode. Today's guest is Reverend Laura M. George. Laura George is a Virginia-based attorney, minister, and author. In 2004, she founded the Oracle Institute, a 501c3 educational charity whose mission is to assist humanity in making the difficult shift into the new millennium. Oracle is a think tank that studies the nexus between religion, politics, human rights, and conscious evolution. Laura founded Oracle after the tragic events of September 11th, 2001, which prompted her to research and write about the intersectionality of religious fundamentalism and political polarization. When 9/11 hit in 2001, Laura had a spiritual awakening that forever changed the course of her life. Thereafter, she founded the Oracle Institute and began writing the first book in the Oracle foundational trilogy, The Truth About the 5 Primary Religions. Her debut work won the bronze medal from the Independent Publishers Association. Laura co-authored the second book in the trilogy, The Love of the Spiritual Paradigm, with luminaries such as Archbishop Desmond Tutu, Maxine Hong Kingston, Bill McKibben, Maya Angelou, Alex Gray, and Wendell Berry. After another decade of research and study, Laura completed the last book of the Oracle trilogy, The Light and the New Human. In addition to her work at the Oracle Institute, Laura founded Oracle Temple, an esoteric church, and she founded the Valley of Light spiritual community, which shares Oracle's 22-acre campus. She is a board member of the Earth Constitution Institute and the Patrick McCallum Foundation for Peace. In 2022, she was named an evolutionary leader for her groundbreaking work in the field of conscious evolution. In February of this year, MarBeth, Dunn, and I both heard the call at the same time to create a peace movement. That movement is called 10 Million for World Peace. And MarBeth is joining Laura and I today to discuss peace because that's what we love to talk about. It's what we are all about. It is our lifetime mission here in this world at this time to bring forth more peace. And so welcome, please, these two ladies who are so amazing. And as the three of us sit in conversation, if you have any questions, if there's anything that you would like to ask, this is your chance. Just type it in the comments and we will certainly address whatever it is that you would like to hear. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Laura, for being with us today. I don't think that MarBeth is going to make it. She had texted me just a few minutes ago and said that she had to run out and something had come up. But welcome to the Peapod. I'm so happy you're here.
Well, I am very grateful to be here. Thank you for the invite. I have so enjoyed getting to know you and MarBeth, and I'm delighted to affiliate with you guys. Love the work you're doing.
Thank you. And put up your website. I think you have two websites. This is the one, I think, where they can find information about both the Oracle Institute and the Peace Pentagon, which I want us to really talk about today. And I'd love for you to share your mission there in Virginia and what's going on. And yes, we are very close in proximity right now and making plans to get to meet each other in person instead of on one of these screens.
Yes, you're going to get to walk inside the Peace Pentagon with me this weekend, which is going to be really exciting. I love sharing the space because it's a multi-functioning, multi-dimensional building, frankly. It's our headquarters, but it's also a temple and a tool, similar to the underground temples at Damanhur. So I like to share the fact that magic happens in the Peace Pentagon.
I love that. I cannot wait to see it. I've seen the pictures. I've done the virtual tour of it, and I'm just so excited to be there with you and to get to actually see you and feel your beautiful energy. So thank you for allowing me to come and be in that space. Now, the Peace Pentagon is also a retreat center. Is that correct?
It is. It's fulfilling a variety of needs. So, as I said, for Oracle Institute, which is the charity, it's our headquarters. For the church, Oracle Temple, there's actually a Pentagon inside of the Pentagon. So the inner Pentagon is the sacred space, the chapel. It also serves as our community center for the Valley of Light micro community that we're building. It also, most recently, I think I can say this now with assurance, it is going to be the U.S. headquarters for the Earth Federation movement, which is a global movement, to create, at a minimum, a world judiciary that, rather than being a voluntary situation, which is how the World Court operates now, and by the way, the U.S. is not submitted as jurisdiction, at a minimum, we need a world judiciary with the absolute right to mediate conflicts, such as we're seeing in Ukraine and in Israel. So, to sum it all up, we feel we are manifesting Barbara Marx Hubbard's vision of a peace room as sophisticated as a war room.
Yes, I watched a video of her where she was speaking about that and blessing your beautiful structure that you have there, the Peace Pentagon, and all that's going to take place within. I just see wonderful things happening there. Just the whole concept of a Peace Pentagon. It gives me a warm feeling that that's going to happen.
It was one of my early meditative visions. It came in as real blueprints. When I was a lawyer, I practiced construction law. And so I got pretty used to, dealing with blueprints and building plans. And when it came in, it was literally a building plan. And I called up a friend of mine who worked at an architect's. And I said, Trey, please come over on your lunch break. We got to draw this up. And about, I don't know, maybe 8-10 years later, we broke ground on it. And we're still building it. That's one thing I'd like your listeners to know. The outside is finished. Is it possible for me to show a picture?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. There's a share button. The third button in is a share screen.
Okay. Let me see if I can do it. I'm not seeing it pop up. Oh, here we go. So here's a picture of the Peace Pentagon. Can you see it? Did I do it right?
Okay. I think I have to bring it on with us.
Okay, there we go. So that is what it actually looks like. And it looks completed from the outside, but it's not. So now we need to complete the inside of the building, and we're fundraising for that. And I just wanted to mention that we're going to be doing a formal fundraising launch on November 11th, 11/11. It's one of our sacred numbers is 11. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure how to unshare.
Okay, let me take it back off.
Okay. I just didn't want to stick too long. Anyway, that's the building. And it's situated along the New River, which was completely misnamed because it's the oldest river in America, the oldest river in the Western Hemisphere, quite possibly the oldest river in the world. In this little town called Independence, Virginia. All these names are so significant.
Yes.
And we're in what's known as the Virginia Highlands. We're at about 2,000 feet here, close to the highest peak in Virginia, which is at 6,000. So we're in an exceedingly pristine environment. So yes, it's also a retreat center space where the public is invited to come, not only for events that we're sponsoring, but we open the campus to people who want to walk our labyrinth or put their toes in the sand in our medicine wheel. So it's a 22-acre campus that we've been beautifying and refining for the last decade. And when we get the Pentagon finished and finally open, we're going to have a grand celebration next year. So hoping many people listening will join us.
Do you have a projected date of when that will happen next year?
Well, I'm shooting for June 8th of 2024. We broke ground on June 8th of 2012, and that's a significant date. If we have any astrology fans out there, Venus did a very unusual transit from 2004 to 2012. It won't happen. Well, we'll be dead. We won't be here when it happens again. It happens again around 2021, 25. And it was during that 8-year period. And by the way, that's what Venus does. It makes the pentacle in the sky. Mm-hmm. It takes 8 years to do the orbit. During that 8-year period is when my awakening started. And it was pretty intense there for a while. It was like a roller coaster. I get a download, build a Peace Pentagon. I go, really? What's a Peace Pentagon? Write these books. Really? Okay.
I can so relate to that.
Yeah, it was a little scary there for a while. I actually did get a shrink to make sure I wasn't losing my mind. And his parting advice to me after 3 sessions was, Laura, they're telling you to write books on truth, love, and light. They're not telling you to shoot up a post office. And he goes, I bless you and release you, my daughter.
Oh.
So kudos to Dr. Paul for giving me the green light to keep going. But it was a radical shift in my life. I was a relatively normal person before this happened, and the mother of 3, and lived in affluent Northern Virginia, where we ended up building, where I was actually brought. That's another fun story, but how I ended up here, and what that led to me knowing immediately, as soon as I saw it, I knew this was the right location. I felt like Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz. It was like right in my backyard, even though I'd never heard of the Virginia Highlands before and I'd never been to this area of Virginia. The other reason why I think this was meant to be in Virginia is because there's this other Pentagon
Yes.
along this other river, right? In Northern Virginia, the War Pentagon, along the Potomac. So energetically, I feel like we're creating an equipoise, putting the polarity in hopefully stasis point. And one of the goals of the Peace Pentagon is to be, just a major player in helping bring peace to the world.
Beautiful. I think so too. I really get when the angels give me yes and no's, and whether it's like a really great idea or let's back off from that. I just see like sparkly lights, and I just see sparkles all over that Peace Pentagon. It is so blessed, and it was so divinely inspired. I'm so happy to be able to be there with you and to actually stand and look at it. So I'll talk to you in private about the possibility of doing a land blessing there at the Peace Pentagon and blessing that land. On my mission of the Peace on Earth tour, they have me blessing land in all the states, and Virginia has not had a land blessing yet.
This seems like the logical place to do it. Yes, we would love for you to do that. I'd be honored, very honored.
Yeah, awesome. So when they happen, it's recorded. Hopefully, it's live streamed if we have strong enough signal to do so. But they're all recorded. And we have a group called the P's for Peace. And they all like to know when we're doing the land blessings. So, you guys, I will make the announcement after Laura and I talk and see if we can do that this weekend. Wouldn't that be exciting?
That would be exciting. We actually are getting high-speed internet this Thursday. Our little town won a lottery contest to be the first rural area in Virginia to receive it. Get this, we're about to get the highest speed internet in the entire state.
Hey.
And it's just in time for us to finish the Pentagon and make sure that building is, in addition to being cutting edge building technology, by the way, it'll have state-of-the-art conferencing facilities. But yeah, let me mention that this is an ultra-green eco-spiritual center. It's design, and that term has sort of become generic like Kleenex, but no, it's a registered building methodology out of Germany. And it exceeds the LEED standard of construction, which is our highest standard of construction in the United States. So we're building a Mercedes, literally. And it was run through computer models in Germany. So it's exceedingly green, close to a zero carbon footprint. So yeah, it deserves state-of-the-art fiber, which is coming.
Absolutely. Yes. And look at the timing, divine timing for it. Yeah, because I'm so excited about this. So I also do water blessings. And since you're right there on the river, we might as well do both. If we're going to do one or the other, let's do both.
Let's definitely do both. And our property is 3-sided water because the north face of the property is a creek, Saddle Creek, which then swoops around our western side and then dumps into the New River, which is on the south. So yeah, the property is 3-sided water. It's stunning. You will enjoy your visit here.
Wow, I can't wait. So in addition to conferences, retreats, you mentioned the church. Does that take place there at the facility?
It was. We've now shut things down because we're about to start up on construction again. We just held our last event a couple weeks ago. It was a Future Human retreat with Anna Lou Smitsman from Earth Center.
Yeah.
And it was an amazing retreat in and of itself, but the reason it mates up so well with our building is because part of her work is creating a game, a virtual reality game in which there are 5 future archetypes. So I have become a complete believer in that we can't build these new stories until we literally have new archetypes, right? I mean, we're still relying on these old archetypes, these old Jungian sort of thought forms. And if we wish to move into this new paradigm, we really need to start contemplating things like, do heroes always have to suffer, right? So the hero archetype, think of Oedipus, he's blinded and he's, tortured and you have to go through all this suffering. So that's just one example of how we should be rethinking our archetypes.
Yeah.
There should be some joy, not always sacrifice. There should be success based on a unified field as opposed to just one person or one ethnic group succeeding. And, those are the old stories. And now we need to broaden our definition of love, our definition of family, our definition of, sacred space. It's not just, Jerusalem, right? I mean, the whole planet is sacred. So we need new stories and new archetypes. So anyway, she had 5 of these drawings that have already been created for the game. And so we put these 5 new archetypes in the 5 points of the building. And it's just supercharged that room. It's incredible.
Oh my gosh, I can't wait to feel that energy. So amazing. We have a question from one of our listeners. We call her Auntie Jean. And she says, just wondering if Marianne Williams is aware of your beautiful peace place. It's Williams' son, sorry. That is one of her desires for our country.
Yes, I do know Marianne, not well. I knew her campaign manager the last time around very well. And I saw Marianne at a conference within the last year. And yes, she's aware of the Peace Pentagon, and she is on the short list of speakers, as far as I'm concerned, for the inaugural grand opening celebration. I'm intending to write her and see if she wants to be with us when the building officially opens.
Yeah, I can see that. Yes, I've met her and been aware of her for years and her beautiful writings, and she's all about peace. So.
Yeah, she helped co-found the Peace Alliance. That's one of our peace partners, and that's they're headquartered in Northern Virginia. So we're pretty close to Peace Alliance. She would favor a cabinet level peace department. Right now we have the U.S. Institute of Peace. That's in Washington. It's relatively new, that beautiful new building where the roof looks like dove wings. I was just up in D.C. a few weeks ago, and we stopped there. But yes, it needs to be a cabinet level position along with Secretary of State, Secretary of Defense. We need a Secretary of Peace for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I know that she's a big proponent of the Department of Peace building. That's been on the books for a while. We just can't go with it. And so I would love to see that happen. Maybe it'll happen next year as the Peace Pentagon comes to life. Who knows?
Maybe that bill, it's Bill 1111, which is really interesting. It always keeps its number. And yeah, I went up one year to actually help lobby for it. I have to believe we're getting closer and closer to the universal belief that we are one family, and that, again, we need a mechanism for dealing with conflict. It's not like conflict's just going to disappear one day, right? But there are humane, rational, inspiring ways of dealing with problems when they arise. And war is just a little old school at this point, right? I mean, like, what century are we living in? So yes, we do need both a Department of Peace. We need a world court that has proper jurisdiction and that people acknowledge as a source of good jurisprudence and fairness.
Yeah, I so agree. We have Steve Truitt with us, and he says, well, Secretary of Defense was a small improvement over Secretary of War, at least. Sounds like a step in maybe the right direction there.
He's a dear friend of mine and our webmaster, and he is also quite the historian. So I think what he's saying is that title used to be Secretary of War, and he's probably right that they changed the title Secretary of War to Secretary of Defense. Yes, Steve is on our team and just an incredible member of the Oracle think tank, really. He's part of our think tank, and he provides not just historical perspectives, but because of his science and tech background, a really good glimpse into what's coming.
Great. So tell us about who else is working with you. Who is your crew there that's pulling all of this together?
Well, at the moment, it's an all-volunteer crew, so they're pretty darn dedicated. Writing some grants right now that hopefully will give us some funds to get some paid assistance. But right now, the team is comprised of people involved with the Earth Federation movement. There's some cross-boardships there. Also, women's rights groups. We're big time into women's rights, and I can talk about that if people are interested, because we're facing a local controversy in my county right now, brought to us courtesy of the Federalist Society. And so we have volunteers who work in those various areas. We also have volunteers who live here and are part of the community. So they're focused on taking care of the goats and the garden and the groundskeeping. So we've got a variety of skill sets here, always looking for additional help. Need a bookkeeper, by the way. I'm still doing the books. So yeah, there's unlimited potential for people who are interested in the peace movement and women's rights to flourish at the Peace Pentagon, because we truly do want to build a think tank level organization. When I was alone with Barbara in the Pentagon, I asked her, I said, Barbara, you've said this for so many years that we need a peace room as sophisticated as war room. And I said, why didn't you build it? And she said, well, I guess I knew you would. And that just struck me as her taking the burden off of her shoulder and going, you do it. So we were already in the process of doing it, but I feel as though I literally got a transmission that day, being alone with her in that room. It was more like, an initiation, a transmission of a light blessing. And so I think of it more as a blessing than a burden. But the world needs this level of sophistication on the left politically, although I don't totally subscribe to some of the crazy leftist beliefs either. So we're pretty grounded. The vibe here is pretty darn unique. It's close to Integral Institute, which is also a group of humans who are both scientific based and spiritual based. And what you find in the New Age community oftentimes are people abandoning some of their rational brain power in favor of escapism. And we don't escape here at the Oracle Institute. We face the reality on the ground. And then we go into meditation and bliss out. And then we come out of meditation and we go, okay, knowing what we know about what's possible, just all the beautiful things you said in the introduction, frankly, Teri, your introduction is stunningly beautiful and inspirational. So it's that. It's being able to not be schizophrenic, but you're living in two worlds. You're living in the world as it is today and the world that is possible, that we all know is possible. We know it. And then trying to bridge to that dream. So that's what the Peace Pentagon is about. It's helping to build that bridge to this beautiful new world. Is it going to be perfect? Of course not. Humans are still going to be humans. But most of the humans I know, and what the current research shows, is that most humans, period, globally, are ready for the next stage of our collective journey. And it's a higher level of consciousness that's permeating the planet now. And we're being held back by some of these dinosaur dictators, some of these ancient religions that still believe in an eye for an eye response and mentality with regard to being harmed themselves. We've totally lost the turn the other cheek, or the Gandhian approach to nonviolent education and protest and activism. So those are the programs that we wish to kick into high gear once the buildings open. That is the vibration, the frequency that we stay within at the Pentagon. Sure, someone can get angry or frustrated or in a state of disbelief over current events, but then the very next second we're talking about, what can we do to help? What can we do to educate? What can we do to model? So it's a very proactive group, and I'm really grateful for our volunteers.
Yeah, and education is the key. You know, the more awareness we have, the more we can understand something, then we can see all these archaic, outdated things. You know, it's time to re-examine those. I say this all the time. It's your belief that you hold now that you've held your whole life. Does it still work with all the experiences that you've had? Is that still something you hold as true for you?
It is remarkable how many people do still go through life without contemplating their belief system, particularly when it comes to the Godhead and how the earth plane relates to the ethereal plane. And is there a guy up there in the sky, literally? Is there literally a place we go to named heaven? Or is it a state of consciousness? Is it a state of being? And, you know, for those who love Jesus, I encourage them to read the Gospel of Thomas, because it reads like a Buddhist text, right? He's like, the kingdom of God is inside you, and so forth. So in the West, we've got a real blockage, I believe, with the Abrahamic religions. They just, you know, Ken Wilber, one of my personal heroes, the Einstein of consciousness, says the true triple Godhead is thou art. All right. So yes, there's a sense of separation from the creator, but then it is, and I am. So, you know, it is the rationalist scientific approach to sort of understanding the cosmos, and quantum physics, you know, is bringing the merger of science and spirituality together every day. That quickening is so exciting. But then the Eastern I am piece, you can't, I mean, I am in a region of the world that is very evangelical. And when you talk to them about the Eastern view of deity, and enlightenment being an internal process that then brings you into the field of consciousness and a merger with the divine, I mean, they just glaze over. They don't understand. They just don't understand that kind of talking. To them, they literally think it's thou art all the time. And this is supplication, and you know, prayerful / begging aspect to the relationship with the divine, and also this fear of being damned, a fear of going to hell. So I love Wilber's triple Godhead, and I try to express it as often as I can, particularly where I live, because at least it makes people stop and think about the Eastern concept of God. It's so different, so different.
Very different. Yeah. Yeah, I actually discovered it about 35 to 40 years ago. And I was raised in Kentucky, right here where all of the, you have a church on every corner. And, the teachings were that fear-based teaching. And when I discovered the Eastern religions and, Buddha and Yogananda, gurus and yogis, it was like, whoa, what is this? So I'm so glad that you are teaching it and speaking it and modeling it where you're at in that community, because I know how tough that can be. Yeah.
And I'll just add, my favorite mystic happened to be a Catholic nun. I'm a total freak about Teresa of Avila. So yeah. The mystics in each one of those paths, they're all speaking the same language, but it's the orthodox version of these religions, which is why I wrote the first book, The Truth About the Five Primary Religions. Well, spoiler alert, the truth about all five of them, Hinduism, Judaism, Buddhism, Christianity, and Islam, is that none of them have updated. So unless you truly are a mystic of one of those paths, you ain't getting the truth. You're getting Iron Age dogma that doesn't even comport with current science, let alone the evolution of our morals. Right? I mean, 2,000 years ago, it was okay to have slaves. Shit, I'm sorry, I said a bad word. But we had slaves here, right? It's just like 150 years ago. So slowly but surely, humans are becoming more conscious, more relationship-oriented. This notion of the other is dropping. Slowly but surely, and until we truly can love one another the way we call it the 11th commandment in Christianity, until we really can love one another, we haven't hit the stage for entering this next paradigm. And it doesn't mean 100%, it doesn't mean every human, but there's some sweet spot, there's some tipping point that once we reach it, we're gonna tip into this new paradigm, and it will be much better. It will be much more consistent with where our philosophy, our theosophy, our moral growth is all trending.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I so agree. And you know, and agree with Barbara Marx Hubbard. She had every confidence that you were going to do this and bring this forward. And I see it. I see the strength in you to really lead that. Barbara taught about the new human. And
Yes.
I'm hearing that with almost everything you're saying.
Right.
Her concept is coming out very prolifically and very beautifully. So thank you. I love the teachings. I don't think any of us fully understand everything that Barbara taught, but we get the understanding of, you know, we're going to move beyond, and it's going to be an ascension, not the way we might think of that word ascension, but it is moving into this new human era that we're coming to.
Absolutely. And yeah, she used the term Homo universalis. I say new humans. Anna Luce says future humans. But yes, it's clear that some of us have been upgraded to the next level of conscious living. Let's just put it that way. And it's also clear that there aren't enough of us yet. And it's also clear that our institutions, we're going to have to drag them along kicking and screaming. That's the fourth quadrant in integral theory, back to Ken Wilber. So the institutions are lagging, and that's going to cause more disruption. And I think we need to face the reality that all the gentle timelines are now gone. You know, had we done what we needed to do starting in the 1970s and the 1980s, and particularly around the year 2000, if we had made good choices, this birthing process would not be as painful as what we're witnessing now. So I think we're in for a little more chaos before things start to even out. I don't think it's going to be long-lived. I'm not predicting like another Dark Ages, but it is relevant to note that the last time the paradigm shift, the Roman Empire collapsed, right? And we did. I mean, Christendom went into the Dark Ages. So that there is that possibility of a do-over of sorts. So we need to be vigilant. Everyone listening, you know, if you fancy yourself a light holder, well, go become a light worker. And if you fancy yourself a light worker, you know, find each other and do all you can do at whatever level, local, regional, national, international, that fits your skill set. It's time for all of us to be active, because, you know, this new age concept that it's somehow going to magically manifest, well, that's just ridiculous. And those who have a vested interest in keeping us in the old paradigm, the current paradigm, they aren't going to let their power go easily. So we need to face that fact and do it bravely and with a smile on our face and say, well, we're going into the new paradigm and you're coming with us one way or another. And hopefully they won't be afraid. And they'll welcome the light.
Yeah, because it's all about love. I love this. I'm going to put Jean's comment up here so you can see it. I mean, you can see it if you to click on chat. But this is what Jean had to say. It doesn't matter which holy path you choose to come to consciousness of the source. The end of the trip is always love.
That is a very beautiful sentiment. That's why our motto at the Oracle Institute, if you buy a baseball cap at the Oracle Institute, it says truth, love, and light. And love is something that for us is a verb, right? It's not just a state of mind. And sometimes love has to be tough, as in a parent knowing what's correct for a child. So love does not necessarily mean accepting of all that we witness. Gandhi would take great exception to that, right? Love in action and in activism means being clear on why you are either defying an unjust law or protesting an unjust situation or rushing to the aid of someone who needs assistance. You need to be clear on why you're doing it. And the answer should be love. You're doing it out of love. The other thing about love is, I just want to mention, for those who have experienced non-duality and understand that God is all that is, right? God is all thing and God is no thing. I'm a student of the Kabbalah and truly appreciate the sophistication of that cosmological model. One must wrestle with the fact that God is both love and hate. God is everything. So what does that mean when you get to the non-dual realm? Well, that's where this all merges. That would be the point of ultimate ascension, ultimate comprehension, ultimate consciousness. But people do hellacious things in the name of love. So I find it an awkward word sometimes when discussing what needs to happen on the earth plane. There are terrorists right now who think their God is telling them to kill, and they do that out of, quote, love for their God, their belief system, what they believe they're preserving in terms of their culture. So it's, anyway, I'll stop there. But yeah, we got a lot going on at the Oracle Institute.
That could be a whole discussion.
We gotta avoid deep discussions.
Love could be a whole discussion.
Yeah.
I was trained by Greg Braden in the Heart-Brain Coherence, and he explained that the reason that when you're doing that third part of calling in something that you feel so beautiful with, they don't use the word love, because love, like you said, it means different things to different people, and instead you hold something that just makes you feel really great inside. And so love's a whole new topic.
Well, just to quote Ken Wilber, even Nazis loved, right? So that's the other thing about that word. But I agree with your listener that the energetic essence of the evolutionary impulse is this love, this desire to expand and grow in a holistic way. The evolutionary impulse is helping us move in a direction that I would absolutely agree is one of greater truth, greater love, greater light. And that's the other thing we need to remember. Everyone's trying to get greater truth, love, and light, right? I mean, everybody pretty much is doing their best. I mean, there's a few people out there, bad actors, who are pretending and, doing bad things and causing chaos. But for the vast, vast majority of humans, everybody's waking up every day and trying to do their best, right?
Yeah.
So it's also incumbent on us who might have a slightly higher vantage point. Sometimes I like to think of climbing a mountain, right? So I don't know how far you think you're on this mountain of truth, love, and light, but that's one of the things I envision sometimes when I meditate. And, every time you reach a new plateau, a new vista point, it's an incredible blessing. You see more things, but it's also a responsibility to help those who are further down on the path and they haven't gotten as high. And, it's a pretty darn steep mountain, and people need help ascending that mountain. And people have helped me. People have helped me ascend the mountain. There's nothing better than a mentor, a teacher. So that's where we find ourselves today. We're trying to get the bulk of humanity to a new level, a new plateau on this mountain is how I think of it sometimes. And we're going to have to pull some people up, and, and some people are trying, bad guys are trying to burn the rope or take a knife out and cut that rope. And I mean, it's like, we got to stay focused on being one family and making this transition together.
Yeah, absolutely. We're in this together.
Yeah.
I love Jean Walensky's comment. We call her Blue Jean. For me, the old paradigm is separating, hence the chaos. Yeah.
It's not only separating, it's separation. That old paradigm is based on, frankly, a caste system that's existed on this planet for thousands of years. And we still see a literal caste system in some pockets of the world. You know, the Hindu caste system is still alive and well in parts of India. And then we see caste systems in the US. I mean, clearly our African American brothers and sisters do not receive the same experience in the United States that I do, because I'm a white woman. And I don't get the same experience as a white man. And another caste system is in place because of your economic status and the opportunities that are not going to be afforded to you. So the old paradigm is separation itself. And as we move into this new paradigm, and we can think of it as sort of enlarging our definition of family, where, yeah, I'm willing to pay a little higher taxes so that everybody can have universal health care and that there's universal daycare. And, you know, Americans aren't even there yet. We can't even agree that healthcare is a right. So that's the kind of shift we'll see. And we'll know when we're there, because the EU model will spread rather than it's fragmenting a little right now too, right? We see that regional, the building of the EU, the European Union, was such an incredibly good sign that we were moving in the next paradigm. But Americans, we haven't even hit the place where we believe everybody should have healthcare.
Right.
That's pretty draconian.
We can't agree on a lot of things, unfortunately. Yeah. Wow. Oh my gosh, this has been amazing. I can't believe that we're almost up to the top of the hour.
Really?
I know, right? It feels like we just got started. But I just love your energy, Laura. I love everything that you're doing. And I cannot wait to give you a hug and see that beautiful face for myself. And those of you that might have come in a little bit late, we're talking about doing a land blessing and water blessing at the Peace Pentagon in Virginia. It'll be the first land blessing to happen in Virginia. So what else is going on? Laura's website is scrolling across the page, or across the screen, and I encourage you all to go there and see what all is happening. The Peace Pentagon is in the process of being completed, hopefully by around June. I think you said June, July of next year. Yeah, we're going to put that intention out there. I'm all about intentions. And please go and find out what all they're doing, what's going to be offered. It sounds incredible. And I'm holding out hope that maybe one day our group would like to come and hold a retreat there at the Peace Pentagon. I think that would be amazing. Yeah.
That would be great. Yeah, we also do that. We lease out the campus for other groups. So we've got some signature events that we do, retreats. Then sometimes we partner with teachers, like we just partnered with Earthwise Center on that retreat. And then sometimes we just rent the campus out and let the group do what they want, and we play host for food and beds and things like that. So yes, the model includes all of that. Our model also includes an open campus we're going to have an amazing library. We've been collecting books. People have been donating books to us for probably 20 years. I cannot wait to open up our library. And we also want to do things like weddings, and, you know, coming of age ceremonies. I have a dream of building a red tent for, you know, young preteen girls or teen girls who are going through that change of life. Same thing with Vision Quest. We really want the campus to be a source of inspiration and a place where when you come, you know you're in a sacred space, you know you're in hollow ground, you can catch your breath and really ponder both your life mission, who you want to be in the world. I mean, sometimes it's that critical that you go back to scratch, which is what happened to me after 9/11.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, my whole life went whoop after 9/11. And my poor kids had to live through that transition with me. They were young at the time. And it's worth it. it's worth it to re-examine your life periodically. I personally do it almost every day, and grow. I mean, it's all about our growth. And as we grow, we see new synergies. We see our relationships in new ways. We see new possibilities. So yeah, we want it to be a campus where people feel safe and loved and able to let their hair down and grow and really, really connect both with the land and with other truth seekers.
So beautiful. Well, I'm excited about it, and any way that we can promote that and what you're doing and bring people in to learn more about it, then I'm all about that.
Well, thank you. And I'll just mention the other website is peacepentagon.net. So the building and the retreat center has its own website, just for what takes place there at that building. And then the other one, the Oracle Institute, that's our charity. So that includes our school, that includes our publishing house. We have an award-winning publishing house. And that on that website is also our church, Oracle Temple.
Awesome. All right. Well, we're all about peace, however that comes to be. And our group, Peace for Peace, has decided yesterday that today we were going to ask people all across the world to light a candle for peace and keep it lit all day long, whether it's in a battery-operated candle or a real candle.
I always have mine going.
Yeah, and so the idea is every time you see that candle flame, just think peace and send out the energy of peace. Every day we do a meditation at 1:11 p.m. Eastern with 10 million for world peace. And I led the meditation today, and I had us light a candle and focus virtually in our minds and focus on some words. I'd like to repeat those words here, if I can find what I did with them. So as you look at your candle flame, you still have time. The day is still going, and you don't have to do it just today. You can do it any days or days that you want. But the words as you look at that candle flame are peace in my heart, peace in my home, peace in our world. And it feels so good to say those words. I just want to end the program with us thinking about peace and send that energy out. When you look at the energy of the flame, see it growing, see it expanding, and see it touching the hearts of every being on our planet, especially the leaders of our world that are making decisions, and some of them making choices that have led to things like war. So let's send out that message loud and clear through the flame to set the intention of peace. I love you all so much. Thank you for being with us today. And every week when I come on, I try to bring somebody that is going to uplift us, that's going to enlighten us, and share something that maybe you weren't aware of before, like a peace Pentagon in our country. I just love this idea. And Laura, thank you so much for being with me today. I know we'll do it again. We'll have you on again. And I cannot wait now for this weekend. I'm so excited.
Yes, I'll see you in just a few days.
I know. I was thinking that it's only a few days away. And I'll let everyone know the timing that we decide on to hold a land blessing so that we can have that on the air and live streamed and recorded for everyone. I think this will be our 26th land blessing, if I'm not mistaken. So beautiful.
That's wonderful.
Yes. So take good care, everyone. Stay in your hearts. That's where the love is. That's where the real spirit lives in us. It's not all about this human shell. So when you stay in your heart, you stay blessed. I love you so much. Thank you for being here. Namaste, y'all.